I've got a whole ton of recruiting updates for you, including a brand new scholarship offer from over the weekend to a player that could be North Carolina's next big time center.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It's Tuesday, July 2nd, 2024. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Shade, and I want to welcome you into the place where you get the best Tar Heels content every single day. Thanks for making us your first listen or watch. Special shout out goes to all you everydayers and all the members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord community. So glad that all of you are here. If you're not in either of those categories, you're just a visitor, you're just checking in, we're glad that you're here as well. Come on in, be a part of the show every day. This episode's brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. As the playoffs wind down, the sports stop sportsing like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a bonus or boost every day. That's right, there's something for everyone every day all summer long. All you got to do is visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Coming up on today's show, a lot of kind of tidbits and updates and things from all over the place, but I've just got a basketball recruiting dump for you, right? Just a lot of information to update you on visits, a new offer, all sorts of stuff. We've got information on the CBS Sports Classic coming up in December, conference realignment, which kind of moved into all the new teams and new places yesterday as we turn to the new fiscal year. Got all sorts of great stuff for you coming up. But first, it's Tuesday, and that means it's time for a Trivia Tuesday. Career three-point shooting for North Carolina. Folks, there are nine Tar Heels who have made 200 or more three-pointers in their entire career. Your job is to name all nine of them. I didn't go to 10, although I could have, because it's somebody that's under 200, but a critical part of the program. The answer, those nine players coming up at the end of the show. So here's where we start. A brand new scholarship offer over the weekend to Eric Reibe. It's spelled R-E-I-B-E, but he is a German national, so it's pronounced Reibe. This offer came on Sunday, June 30th, the last day of June there. He posted this to his Twitter, but then multiple different outlets announced it as well, including Inside Carolina. As I said, he is a German national, but moved to the States in January of 2023, and he attends the Potomac Bullis School in Maryland. So that's the update there on Reibe. He's yet another class of 2025 scholarship offer. Carolina is racking them up, baby. Coach Davis is really trying to make something of this class, clearly. Reibe, a 7-footer. He's 235 pounds. Per Inside Carolina, it was his performance at the NBPA Top 100 camp that really got this recruitment going into high gear. Coach Davis called him pretty quickly after that. Multiple conversations, bing, bang, boom. Next thing you know, on Sunday, Coach Davis offered him. As I watch Reibe on tape, there's a few things that pop just initially right out of the gate on him. Something I'm always looking at because this is me. He is a southpaw. He's a lefty. And so particularly for a center, for a big man, that's a big deal to get somebody that's just, a little bit different than what you're getting from everyone else. Is just one of those things that just can mess up opponents, and be something you can use to your advantage. Another thing, I hate to compare and contrast him with other recruits, but Malachi Moreno is the other true center recruit in this class for North Carolina. At least at listed weight, Reibe is 235, Moreno's 210, and you can see it watching these two dudes play. I know 25 pounds doesn't seem like all that much, but just watching Reibe, I'm like, I can tell that you're a thicker, more solidly built young man at this point. So that stands out to me. Another thing that stands out to me is despite having a 7-foot frame, he's got a nice touch on the ball. He's got a good shot out to 3-point range, knocks it down smoothly. It looks good coming out of his hand. I like his mechanics. Obviously, it's obviously harder to keep those mechanics and fundamentals intact when you got all that body to mess with. That's why you hear tall pitchers, for example, struggle sometimes. It's just so much to keep everything in alignment. But his looks good. I like seeing he can get out and transition and run. He can pass, just do a lot of things. I mean, you think of a European big, that's him. That's what he can do. So just at least right now, give me Reibe over Moreno. I would love to have both of them or either one of them. But if I was picking one over the other, I would take Reibe over Moreno. Now, obviously, I want to keep watching both of them. I want to see more from them. I want to see how they grow their senior year. But, we might not be able to wait that long. And you'll understand why here coming up in just a second. Travis Branham, who writes for 247 Sports, does a great job with all his recruiting talk. He said of Reibe that his size and frame immediately stand out, but it's his skill that sets him apart. That's interesting. So what you take away from that when you read that sentence, it's like he looks good coming off the bus. You know, those kind of teams, it's like, oh, that size, that frame, that looks good. But it's not just about being big. As Branham says here, it is his actual skill set. He is a good basketball player aside from just being big. That's massive. Branham says he has great hands and touch, scores with a variety of moves in the post. Remember, we said about Moreno, reading between the lines about the scouting report on him, is that he doesn't really have a multitude of moves yet. Reibe does. And can step away to score from mid-range. It's hard to find players with the skill and size of Reibe, and guys like him are proving to be very valuable around college basketball, end quote. That sort of endorsement from Travis Branham is all I need to hear about this young man. Let's get him. Now, similar to other players we've talked about recently, like Braylon Mullins and Acaden Lewis, other guys in the class of 2025, Reibe has taken a massive jump. Just sticking with 247 since we were talking about Travis Branham. Reibe is currently 48th, but at the last refresh from 247, he jumped 85 spots in the rankings. So he's another one of those that's just blowing up, coming onto a lot of people's radar. Now, the thing is, Carolina has offered him. He does already have a bunch of offers, but none of them are schools that are at Carolina's threshold of, how they're esteemed typically as a school, like Boston College, Cal, Clemson, Creighton. I'm just reading alphabetically. Florida State, Georgetown, Harvard, Indiana, Iowa. I guess Kansas would be the lone school that would rival Carolina and be right there in that top tier. But then LSU, Michigan, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, Oregon, Purdue, Vandy, Villanova, Washington. So along with Kansas, Carolina is the two biggest names on that list. And then you get schools like Michigan and in Indiana that hold historic weight, but maybe aren't quite as sexy right now, right? So getting in on him early, I think, could be a win. He has already Reibe taken a couple visits. Creighton, Harvard, Iowa, Georgetown, Ohio State, has an upcoming to Oregon scheduled for early in August. So, and keep in mind though, in this day and age with new legislation, guys can take as many as they want. So that doesn't mean that Carolina is already out. Here's the thing, from watching an interview that Reibe did with Rivals, this recruitment could move pretty quickly. And so Carolina is getting in at the right time, but they've got a lot of ground to make up because Reibe said in that interview, quote, "I want to have it done," meaning, choosing my school before senior year, which is this year. He's a rising senior. That's the class of 2025. He went on to say, quote, "I'm going to narrow it down probably at the end of July and then put out my official visits and then decide before my senior year," end quote. So Carolina has basically a month from now to convince him that they're worthy of an official visit and to be part of his narrowed down recruitment going forward at that point. But then again, if he wants to commit before his senior year, he ain't gonna have much time after that. So a lot of wheels that Carolina is going to have to get in motion. Now, at a big picture level going forward, I want you to keep your eyeballs peeled on this sort of recruit. either a foreign national that's come to America to play, or somebody that is on the international landscape or scope that hasn't popped on the American scope in a big way yet. There is a great big world out there that is pretty untapped in terms of college basketball and is often either heavily under recruited or misunderstoodly recruited, which I know isn't a word, but go with me on it. And so this could be a new recruiting field for Carolina to look more deeply into. And I know that there is a history of recruiting internationally, but I wouldn't say there necessarily has been in recent years. So just keep your eyes on that as an opportunity going forward. So overall now in the class of 2025, Carolina, this is again, rising seniors. Carolina has 16 active offers. I say active because they have went out to Isaiah Harwell, but he's cut Carolina out. And so that brings it down to 16. There are a ton of power forward offers out there. But Reibe, as I said earlier, is the second true center along with Malachi Moreno. So we'll keep our eyes on that. Now, speaking of this class, there were a whole host of announced visits, either upcoming or just quick last minute unofficial visits last week. I want to make sure you're aware of all of those and guys that are coming to check out Chapel Hill and the Tar Heels. Plus, we've got updated information about the CBS Sports Classic to get us one step closer to knowing the fullness of the non-conference schedule for this upcoming season. We're going to go to both those places coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about FanDuel, I love sports and I just never want them to stop. I always want some sport to be on my TV or me watching it. But as the playoffs wind down and are over, we unfortunately get fewer games. And the sports just aren't sportsing like we want them to. But FanDuel lets you keep the sports going whenever you want. All you got to do is open the app and dream up bets anytime you're in the mood, and FanDuel's going to be there for you. And this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. How about an MLB player special? Paul Skeens, the phenomenon rookie pitcher for the Pirates, they've got one for his total number of strikeouts this season. 150 or more at minus 140, 175 or more at plus 215, and 200 or more strikeouts at plus 680. They got several others on that. There's one for Aaron Judge, the MLB home run leader, all sorts of neat player specials. Go check them out on FanDuel.com/lockedon and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball. I want to get you up to speed on visits of class of 2025 players who have either come to visit Carolina late last week or have scheduled one in the future. We don't have anything from Eric Reibe as of yet, but hopefully Carolina can get a visit from him. But the others, the two guys that were on campus last week on Wednesday, Jasper Johnson. This to me is a massive target and a young man that I would love for the Tar Heels to get. He's at the same school at Link Academy in Branson, Missouri, which is like an hour and a half southeast of me, where Elliot Cadeau went and where James Brown went, and he's now there. It is a great school that's just pumping out great basketball players. So Jasper Johnson came on an official visit back in February to the Carolina Duke game, but was back on campus with his family last Wednesday. I believe I first saw that confirmed by Inside Carolina, so I want to make sure to give them credit for that. As I said, is from Link Academy, but is originally from Versailles, Kentucky. No, it's not Versailles. In Kentucky, they pronounce it Versailles. I kid you not. It's a real thing. So Johnson's five-star combo guard, just an absolute stud. I want him. And it sounds like he and his family really, really like Carolina and the coaching staff and all that. So I really want to pursue that well. Another unofficial that took place last Thursday, Acaden Lewis, who we had talked about multiple times in the last weeks now, combo guard out of the DC area, was on campus, on campus last Thursday. You probably saw pictures come out of that visit. And so he's another one of these really fast risers like Eric Reibe that we talked about. All right, a couple official visits that are scheduled for upcoming dates in the future, and I'll just go chronologically with these guys. The first is Derek Dixon, who is scheduled to come on September 6th. He is a combo guard, also out of the DC area, and so he will be coming in early September. Is that Labor Day weekend, September 6th? I should look ahead at that. No, it is the weekend after Labor Day, and that's when Carolina is playing. That's the weekend of the Charlotte football game, but Carolina's at home, so it makes a lot of sense for him to come and be part of that football game. Then the next weekend, Braylon Mullins is coming on September 14th. That is a Saturday. Carolina is hosting NC Central that weekend, so home football games, not really like big time football games, but good to get them on campus during a game and just get them in. Like the basketball team is always there at the games, and so that'll be a great opportunity. Mullins is another one of these big rankings risers right now. He's a shooting guard out of the Greenfield, Indiana area, has several other official visits lined up. UConn, August 1st. That's my anniversary, 15 years. Wow, crazy. Michigan, September 7th. That's the weekend before Carolina. Indiana, the 21st, the weekend after Carolina. And then headed to Knoxville and Tennessee on October 19th. So that is just a recruiting rankings visit dump for you to get caught up on all these guys. Next, what I want to do is just keep moving along, because that's just really just want to give you that information. There's really not else much to say about it right now. Where I want to go next is continuing to update the non-conference schedule. Each time we get a piece of information, I want to make sure to share it with you. For those watching on YouTube, I have put up the non-conference schedule that I keep my notes on so that you can see that. If you're listening to this, you can come back and watch it later, or just check it out on either on the Discord. We keep it pinned on a page on there, or you can see it on my Twitter feed. So the CBS Sports Classic, we basically already had everything because John Rothstein had reported some of the news. But middle of last week, we got confirmation of these details from CBS Sports. And so that's always like, all right, good, boom. David Cobb did the write-up on this release. He is one of CBS Sports main 5 college basketball writers. And so that's just a name to know there. And so just the nitty gritty of this, the date is December 21st, as had previously been reported. TV, it's always on CBS, but also streaming on Paramount Plus if you'd prefer to watch it there. The biggest thing that was confirmed is that it will be at Madison Square Garden. Again, that was the expectation, but you never know until it's confirmed and out there. So this will be the second time in the last 3 years it was at Madison Square Garden. The most famous arena in the world is its nickname. It was also there in 2022, December of 22, when Carolina beat Ohio State. That was the Pete Nance shot to send it to overtime. Man, what a game that was. In terms of the matchups for this thing, they too are as we knew them and as was expected. Carolina against UCLA. That'll be the first tip, the earlier one in the day at 3 p.m. Eastern local time there in New York. And then the nightcap will be Kentucky and Ohio State, typically 30 minutes after the first game ends. And so big opportunity there to play UCLA. We won't play Kentucky this year unless it's in postseason, because as a reminder, Alabama in the ACC SEC matchups. So now what this means, let's go back to the fullness of the non-con schedule here, is that, again, as a reminder, Carolina is playing 12 non-con games instead of 11. If you missed that whole unpacking a week or so ago, there is a little loophole in the NCAA guidelines for scheduling for basketball. It's not really a loophole because they put it in there. You're not cheating them. That says if you play a regular season game against an NCAA member school on Hawaii or in Alaska, that does not count against your max number of games. And so Carolina, by virtue of playing a true road game at Hawaii on the way out to Maui Invitational, is able to get an extra game. So 12 non-con games and the 20 ACC games, 32 total regular season games. Love to see it. More opportunities to get more guys reps and things like that. And Hawaii is not a great program. It wasn't really all that great last year. And so should be an opportunity to kind of feel like a bye game, but in a true road environment. So that's always a win. Let me just run you back through this schedule. I know we've done it a couple times, but it's just good to keep updating. Carolina tips off for the first time on Monday, November 4th. That's kind of opening day of college basketball this year. They will host Elon. But then that Friday, November 8th, Carolina heads to Lawrence, Kansas, just a few hours northwest of me, where they will play the front end of a 2-year home-and-home agreement with Kansas back in Chapel Hill next year. Then a week after that, Friday, November 15th, Carolina will host American. And then a week after that, Friday, November 22nd, is when Carolina will be at Hawaii. Although by the time that game tips, it will probably be Saturday local time back on the East Coast. It was last time. And then that's leading into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of Thanksgiving week, when Carolina will play in the Maui Invitational. Again, this is the lone remaining piece of the non-con schedule that we don't know yet. What is the bracket breakdown for Maui? The other 7 teams alphabetically are Auburn, Colorado, Dayton, Iowa State, Memphis, Michigan State, and UConn. No Chaminade, they only play every other year now. So Carolina, there's no way to get kind of a cupcake in round 1. You're going to play a team, right? So be ready for that. After that, you get a week from the last Maui game until Carolina hosts Alabama on Wednesday, December 4th in the Dean Dome in the ACC-SEC Challenge. And then one of the other bye games, Saturday, December 14th, so a 10-day break there after Alabama. Carolina will host LaSalle. And I say break, however, keep in mind, there will probably be an ACC game the weekend prior to that, either the Saturday the 8th or Sunday the 9th. Or is it whatever that weekend, either Saturday or Sunday. All right. And then Tuesday, December 17th is the Jumpman Invitational in Charlotte. Carolina plays Florida. That Saturday, December 21st, is this UCLA game at Madison Square Garden that we're talking about. And then wrapping up the regular season with what was the last announced non-conference game, and that is Carolina hosting Campbell on Sunday, December 29th. This should be a highly attended game, and then we'll lead into the main chunk of ACC play. So there you go. There's the non-conference schedule. Carolina will be doing all sorts of great work and hopefully coming out with a strong record, but we will wait and see. All right, we're into July, and that means every power conference is either non-existent, sorry, Pac-12, or has a multitude of new schools joining them. Let me get you caught up on that. Make sure you know all of it. A neat Olympics update for you and the answer to the Tuesday trivia question. All that coming up in just a second. All right, a reminder as we turn the calendar to July 1st, today is July 2nd, that it's a new fiscal year, and that means conference realignment is in place and we're ready to go with competition when it will start up next month in August. So all 4 of the remaining power conferences, have new schools in them. Pac-12, no more. And the pieces have been divided up amongst the other conferences, including Oregon State and Washington State, which aren't even in a power conference anymore. They're in the WCC with Gonzaga now. So there's that. That's a thing. So let's just go alphabetically through the conferences. ACC now has 18 total teams. I'm including Notre Dame for like basketball purposes. Obviously, it's every sport except football. The 3 new schools, as a reminder, are Cal, SMU, and Stanford. So they now are part of the ACC. Big 12. This is the one with the most moving parts because they're both losing and adding schools, and they've done it twice now in the past 2 years. So 2 years ago, the Big 12 was 10 schools. They added 4 schools last year. That's BYU, Cincinnati, UCF, and Houston. This year, and that put them at 14. This year, they lose Texas and Oklahoma. That drops them back to 12, but add 4 new schools. That's both Arizona schools from the Pac-12, Arizona State, bringing Colorado back in. Remember, Colorado used to be in the Big 12, went to the Pac-12. Now they're back. And then Utah. So both Utah and BYU are now part of the Big 12. So that makes the Big 12 16 total schools. Let's go to the Big 10. The Big Ten already had 14, and they add 4 new schools, all Pac 12 schools. So they joined the ACC with 18 total. The schools that are coming in are Oregon and Washington. They left their states behind. And then USC and UCLA. So the LA area Pac 12 schools are joining as well. And then finally, the SEC isn't adding any Pac 12 schools, but obviously, famously, they're kind of what started this whole round of things by announcing the addition of Oklahoma and Texas. So the SEC now goes up to 16 teams in their conference. So there you go, conference realignment all over again. Next, Olympics update, Tar Heel Olympics update. Parker Wolf, who is the reigning NCAA champion in the 5K. Gross. I ran a 5K one time, and I think I came close to hitting 30 minutes. This dude's out here running it in 13 minutes. What am I doing with my life, gang? Parker Wolf made his way through all the qualifying rounds, and on Sunday night participated in, it was the last night of the USA track and field, like Team USA trials to make Team USA. And so for a lot of these events, the top 3 qualifiers, or whoever, top 3 in a race or whatever it is, in long jump, the 3 longest get to go to the Olympics. The caveat is that you have to have what's called the Olympic standard. So for each event, there's a certain either time you have to hit, or in long jump distance, or high jump height, in discus distance that you throw, all sorts of stuff like that. So Parker Wolf comes in 3rd in the 5K in the Olympic trials. Wild stuff. It was a great race. Was so proud of him. I mean, the 2 guys that beat him are like world-class already runners that already both had the Olympic standard. So Parker finishes in a personal record, 13 minutes, 10 seconds, 0.75. But unfortunately, he missed the Olympics, didn't already have the Olympic standard, and missed getting it here by just 5 seconds. I was so bummed for him. And so, unfortunately, not going to have another opportunity to get that Olympic standard from a time standpoint. And so, based on that, while he has qualified to make made Team USA, he won't be able to go to the Olympics without that qualifying Olympic standard. However, there's also a thing where if you're ranked at a certain ranking in the world, you can, if you have qualified with your country, you can get in based on that world ranking. And so we'll wait to see about that. However, got a great update on Sunday night. Not great because it seems like sad news, but a helpful update, I should say, from Lou Dog. Credit to Lou Dog in our Discord. Says, quote, Parker won't have time to collect the Olympic standard time now, so he will have to rely on world rankings to get in. He's being projected in ranking number 46 after the race on Sunday, with only the top 42 spots qualifying. What does that mean? He'll need a few people ranked ahead of him to scratch or withdraw from the Olympics to get in. So, man, we got all sorts of people in the Discord with all sorts of great knowledge, just like this. Thanks, Lou Dog, for getting us up to speed. Now, by the time you're hearing or listening to this on Tuesday, we might already have an update on this ranking and where things stand with Parker. But, man, fingers crossed that he's able to go to Paris. That would be so cool. It was such a neat moment. He said after the race, I can hang with those guys and hopefully I can race them again in Paris, end quote. Love to see it. All right. Trivia Tuesday answer. 9 Tar Heels have made 200 or more career 3-pointers for Carolina. Who are they? Number 10, just missing this mark with 197, is the head coach of the Tar Heels, Hubert Davis. Let me take you from 9 to 1. Caleb Love left having made 200. Got to believe if he had stuck around, he would be a lot higher on this list. Jeff Lebo, Coach Jeff Lebo, finished his career 8th with 211. Both Rashad McCants and Donald Williams are tied for 6th all-time with 221. Wayne Ellington, 229 in 5th place. Shamond Williams with 233 in 4th. Got to think if Shamond was playing in this era, he'd have a lot more. Joel Berry is 3rd on the all-time Carolina list with 266. 2nd on the list is a guy still playing by the name of RJ Davis, who has 274. So, if it was a normal 4 years, he would finish 2nd all-time. But he is going to pass his coach, Marcus Page, who has 299 career threes, made all time. So that's right. No Tar Heel has ever crossed 300 threes, and knock on wood, RJ Davis should blow by that this upcoming season, obviously with a 5th year, but it is what it is, and we celebrate it and we move on. All right, gang, thanks so much for tuning in to hang out today. Great show. Coach Pat Kilby will be with me tomorrow to talk. We're actually beginning our summer roster preview series, and so we'll begin that with James Brown. Thursday, Coach Rob will be with me. He shares a conversation that he had with Coach Williams last week, where he just got some intel from Coach Williams on his thoughts on the roster for this year. So really want to make sure you're there for that. And then Friday is a mailbag episode. So a great rest of the week coming up for you. If you haven't subscribed to the show already on audio and video, make sure you do that. Very easy to do. If you're not part of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord community, we'd love to have you. The link's in the show notes. Free to join. Come on in. Come for the Tar Heels. Stay for the community. It's awesome. All right, y'all. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow. But until then, peace.